Welcome to Influential Entrepreneurs, bringing you interviews with elite business leaders and experts, sharing tips and strategies for elevating your business to the next level. Here's your host, Mike Saunders.
Hello and welcome to this episode of Influential Entrepreneurs. This is Mike Saunders with Marketing Huddle. Today we have with us Jessica Nazarali, creator and founder of It Girl Academy and It Girl Radio. Welcome to the program, Jessica.
Thank you so much. It's such a pleasure to be here.
Yeah, so tell us, first of all, what is an It Girl?
So
and we only have a few minutes, so don't take an hour and a half because I'm sure that it's got a huge story behind that. But I just love how there's unique names, and I know that there's a fun meaning behind what in the world is an It Girl.
Yeah, sure. So an It Girl is a woman who is confident, she's sure of herself, she is believing that her dreams are ultimately possible. And I came up with the name It Girl, and I use it throughout my branding because I feel that being an entrepreneur gives us the ability to be an It Girl. Whether, in the past it was, you could be an It Girl because you were dating somebody famous, or you're a model, or you're an actress, or you're a celebrity. Through having your own business, it gives you freedom, it gives you impact, and it gives you, a lifestyle that once was ultimately reserved for people who, like I mentioned before, were well known by society in a different way. So that is how the name It Girl came about. And I tested it out in the market because I wasn't, I created a program and I was just kind of curious how it went, and it got a good response. So that's, I just kind of started rolling it out across my whole brand, and then I decided to make the switch and kind of brand everything under that. So yeah, it's been a gradual process. But
yeah, I love that concept because it's kind of like, did you see so-and-so with that movie star? Wow, I didn't know that. And it's kind of that elite feel. And so many times entrepreneurs or solopreneurs, they don't feel like they have that expertise or that status or that It Girl prestige. So I'm certain that when you will train them and teach them about how important that it is, and some of your techniques, I'm sure will train them to kind of elevate their status and their brand that way, right?
Yeah, totally. Exactly.
So what are some of the tactics, or where would you start with someone that says, I'm a open book, tell me where to start? Where do you first tell them to start?
That's a great question. So I think it depends on where they're at. If they're a complete beginner and they're looking to get into kind of the coaching or consulting space, I have a coaching certification program, but it's completely different from any other coaching certification program out there because it's not just teaching you how to coach. Because coaching in itself, yes, it's a good skill to have, and I think it can be very powerful. However, I personally feel that for those of us who have a degree or a qualification or, a lot of work experience in a particular area, coaching alone isn't enough because your clients are coming to you because you are the expert and they want to be able to receive guidance and advice. So it's important that you also know how to teach and consult and mentor. So within my coaching program, Coaching Mastery Certification, we go into all of that, how to consult, teach, mentor, and coach. And it's through a framework which I created, which is called the mentorship method. And we also go into how to work with clients confidently and, the business setup, which you really need to do that. And I created this because I found that I had business building programs which, which go into, the latest online marketing strategies and, ads and funnels and all of that. But I was finding if people don't have this really solid basis of, okay, this is my craft, this is my product, I really stand behind what I'm doing, and I've been well trained in it, people can sabotage themselves. and then they don't, sign that client. They don't, they're doing all this marketing, but they're still not getting results. And it's because they don't have the confidence behind what it is that they're actually going to do once they sign the client. So that's for somebody who's a complete beginner. I'd recommend that you start there, and then I have other programs like Business Mastery Certification that then go into all the funnels and Facebook ads and automated webinars and that whole process, which is important. But if you don't have that confidence to begin with, then, you're not going to become an it girl. Your business isn't going to take off. You're not going to get the results that you desire. So I think it's always so important in the beginning that you focus on getting really good at what you do and then creating a really good product.
Yeah, that's a really excellent point that can be applied to a lot of things, I'm sure. But one thing it made me think of is, are you familiar with Russell Brunson and ClickFunnels?
Yeah, I love him.
I'm a big fan, and I was listening to one of his recent webinars, and he was saying that he teaches his Inner Circle members, when you come up with your webinar and you're ready to launch it to the world, and everybody wants to have Facebook ad to automated webinar to money in my bank account, and it doesn't work that way. And he says, now, I'm sure, I know you know where I'm going with this, but I'm sure that there's variations or he doesn't stick to it, but he says, I teach people to do that webinar one time a week, every single week for a year. And now he does say, I want them to make $1 million in that webinar before you automate it, which I think that's a little lofty. But doing a webinar every week live for a year. Now, that's exactly what you just said, because you cannot say, let's get some of the fun Facebook ads and automated webinars before you even have the solid foundation of who you are, how you can coach, the impact that you make. And I think that it's putting the cart before the horse, and that's so wise that you train that way.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, I think, in the online space, there's such a big focus on, let's get fast results. Let's, make $1 million in a minute as soon as, somebody started their business. And I mean, I think it's great that the barriers to entry are so low. So that means people from different backgrounds and, they do have the ability to kind of be a part of this. However, because of that as well, there's people who don't take the time to really get good at what they do. And I think you can have some short wins in the beginning, but, your reputation at the end of the day, it matters, and people are going to realize if, you don't have a good product, you don't really know what you're doing, and that's just going to hurt you ultimately. So I think, it's really good to get good at what you're doing.
Do you find that when you have a client that starts to see the results of what you're training them, and then they're teaching their clients, that they start gaining that confidence just from the simple fact that their clients are getting good results?
Yes, definitely. I mean, what I tell people in the beginning, like say they're a coach, consultant, course creator, and, they have expertise in a certain area, but they've never coached someone before, they've never consulted with somebody before, I tell them that, there's nothing wrong with working with a few people for free. It's actually a great way to really take the pressure off because, they obviously know this is the first time you're doing it. They're going to give you feedback so you can improve. You're going to gain a lot of confidence from actually working with someone and seeing what works and what doesn't work. And you may even get, a testimonial, which you can then use. And I find it so typically people can start then charging much faster because they've seen, oh, wow, Sally got this breakthrough and it completely changed her life. Okay, I don't feel nervous or bad about charging now because I have more confidence in what I'm doing. I interviewed someone recently for my podcast. Her name's Kendrick Shope, and she told me she's a sales coach now, and she has a 7-figure business. She works with 100 people for free before she started charging. And I was like, wow.
Wow.
I don't know. I don't think you need to necessarily, do that But, I mean, it just goes to show, right? Like, she was like, by the end, I had no issue charging anyone because her product now is just, I mean, it's so solid, and the results people get are amazing because she really took that time to get really good at what she was doing.
That's really huge, and whether it's 100 or 10, whatever number you feel comfortable with, I think that every single time you do something, you should learn where you can improve, and then you're improving it the next time you do it, and then you really do get better. So I think for a lot of reasons, like you just mentioned, and I agree 100%, if you get if you're new to coaching and you need to get a testimonial or a case study, offer to do a modified package at no cost. That's an easy yes. How can people say no to that? And then you do it in exchange for feedback, review, case study, and now you've got something to say, look, can you introduce me to someone that of course, but now you have that testimony to use when you go out and market. So I think that's a big, big piece, and I think that there's coaches and consultants that all they do is teach you how to be more confident. Well, that shows and that proves that that's a super important element of our personal and business life. So having that confidence of knowing what you want and why you want and how to do it is just a big, big piece of the puzzle before you start telling the world and running Facebook ads.
Yeah, exactly.
So once you do get to that point, right, and you've got your model down and you're talking about scaling and expanding, what are some recommendations that way?
So I teach a process which is called the evergreen model, which helps people to sign consistent customers and clients without needing to go through the process of launching. Doing a big public launch, so to speak. I think there's nothing wrong with launching a couple of times a year. However, I feel that, especially when you're getting started, you may not have, and say, I don't know, you want to launch a group program for the first time. You may not have the list size or the following to really get a whole bunch of people in the program to start at the exact same time. So going through the process of setting up evergreen funnels, I have found has worked really well for me in terms of having people consistently enrolling in, my lower end products and like my mid-tier products. And then even for, I have a mastermind, having people joining on a rolling basis has mean when somebody joins, I have more time to then spend with them. Get to know them, and they're just starting. They're just starting with me, so we may have some things that we need to really work through together. Whether someone who's been in the program for a little bit longer, they're kind of more taken care of and self-sufficient to a certain extent. So I love this because you have the consistent cash flow because people are kind of continuously enrolling, but then you also are in a better position to kind of manage your clients' energies because you don't have 100 people joining a program and starting it on Monday.
Yeah.
They're all beginners.
And do you run your programs where they're kind of, it's not a true start date, but they can do self-paced?
Yes. Yes. So I'm actually in the middle of a launch at the moment where it is, people are starting on a specific date. So I do a couple of public launches each year because I think that's powerful to get publicity, get brand buzz. I think that's great. But what I typically then do is I continue selling the programs on Evergreen. So that way, if somebody jumps into a funnel today, at the end of a 2-week period, they're going to get a promotion is going to end. And so they'll have the option to join then and get the promotion. But then Sally will have just joined via a lead magnet today. So in 2 weeks' time, she's going to be at the end of the funnel and decide whether or not she wants to join and get the promotion pricing. That's how I've set up my business.
So are your clients, your new clients, typically brand new to the industry, or are they already a coach wanting to take their business to the next level?
So for my business building program, Business Mastery Certification, it's usually people who are a little bit more advanced. So they've done the coaching certification, like they know what their product is. They're already working with clients. Now it's about like getting that scale. I have had people in the past take it who are a beginner, and they do get results as long as you just have to be interested in doing, the funnels and the Facebook ads, and you have to be interested in it. And I find some people aren't necessarily. So I guess if they're interested in learning it, then yes, it still does work for them, because what I tell them to do in the beginning, if they're getting started, they can use the evergreen model to sell one-on-one services. So it's not like they need to set up like a completely complicated automated webinar or a group program launch with like deadline funnel and all these, things expiring at certain times. You can have this set up promoting your one-on-one services or one-on-one coaching, one-on-one consulting, and it works just as well. And then once you're booked with one-on-one, I then typically recommend that you then look at, okay, well, how can I create a group program so my time can be more leveraged?
Yeah, and I'm sure you can, it can go either way, where you can jump in and go right with group coaching, but I would suspect that part of the testing and proving ground is to do the one-on-one so that you, are gaining your own confidence with working with one-on-one clients. And then at that point, maybe you're going, there's only one of me and there's only this many hours in the day and I'm maxed out. So I need to then go to the next level, which is do some group, which then cuts back on your personal involvement. So do you find that most will do the one-on-one and then move to group, or do you find people that feel like I just want to go right to the group to be more efficient?
I mean, some people do feel like that. My typical take on this, it's very similar to what you said, is I say, if you're just starting out, 9 times out of 10, I recommend that you do group. I recommend that you do one-on-one, because this is when you're going to test your product. You're going to learn so much. You're going to build your confidence. Do one-on-one first. If they do target market research, and I'm big into target market research, and they find that for whatever reason their niche isn't that into one-on-one, and I'll give you an example of this. If women are targeting mums, I have found that, say mums of, small children under 2, I have found group programs work really well for that niche, because they don't necessarily have time they can commit each week at a specific time to do a one-on-one coaching session.
Sure.
Because, what if the baby's freaking out? What if, something's going on? So I found that mums respond really well to group programs, like mums with young children respond really well to group programs with a community element like Facebook, so where they can check in there regularly and then, get the training. But then, of course, there are always going to be some mums who are, they do want the more premium package, and they will work out some way to make it work. Yes, there will always be a small percentage of those people, but typically I've found they prefer a group environment. So it depends on your niche, it depends on your industry, but 9 times out of 10, start off doing one-on-one and then move into group. That's what I recommend.
Super. Yeah, and I would agree with that progression as well. So you've got a launch going now, and then, of course, you don't have to feel like there's a deadline, because you always are offering opportunities to get involved in your programs. But what is the best advice you would give to someone that's listening that may want to check out your program? And then let's wrap up with how can they learn more?
So what I would encourage you to think about is, do you need help with becoming a coach, a better coach, consultant, working with clients, really making sure that you're clear on what it is that you're offering. If that's the case, taking Coaching Mastery Certification and becoming a certified coach. would probably be the best step for you to, build that confidence to start working with clients. And otherwise, if you already have a certification or you already feel confident about the work that you do, but you just need more clients, you need to be working with more people, then I would encourage you to look at business mastery certification. And some people take them both at once, actually, or they take one after the other, and we have a bundle deal. So the best place to find out more would be Jessica Nazarali /coaching mastery and Jessica Nazarali /business mastery.
Excellent. Well, thank you so much for your time. It was wonderful learning about your program, and I wish you all the best, and I really appreciate you coming on the show.
Thank you so much, Mike. It was such a pleasure.
You're welcome.
You've been listening to Influential Entrepreneurs with Mike Saunders. To learn more about the resources mentioned on today's show or listen to past episodes, visit www.influentialentrepreneurssradio.com.